all things about Red. Welcome. We've got our cast of characters here ready to rock and roll. Of course, we have Mr. Cannon from WCPO.com. There was a coup, what was it, 3-4 months ago, and you actually took over, Mike, as the...
There's a bloodless coup.
Right, bloodless coup. So he now runs WCPO.com. And our former correspondent from Pravda is with us today. Mr. Satin, is always good to see you. How are you?
Thank you. Doing great.
Brought some swag, too.
Yeah.
Brought this Mr. Satin hat.
Yeah, there you go.
What I like about, you know these hats that the kids wear? You ever see that, Mike? You remember that? What I like about them, I like the flat lids, like they're just flat like that.
There you go, looking good.
Right, or I could do like that.
Right.
Or I could be like that $50 guy, that rapper. Remember him?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
50 cents. Yeah, 50 cents.
Yeah, I could call myself like.
Get some vitamin water,
Strawberry Vanilla would be a good name.
Buffalo Nickel.
Buffalo Nickel. Yeah, and then the shirt too. The shirt is strong, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Nice.
Let's talk about the news of the week. Bryan Price, 77 times in 5 minutes and 34 seconds. And amazing about this is that he actually worked in 4 verbs and 6 nouns
Pretty
in
impressive.
and around that, which I thought was grammatically impossible. But is this a good sign or just misguided emotion? I mean, it almost seemed like Mr. Rogers cursing when I saw that. It was horrible. What do you think there, Satin? Was it good or bad?
I loved it. I mean, it was one of those things. I know a lot of people got offended by it or whatever, but it fired me up. I woke up. What's funny is I woke up.
You want to say fired, and I thought maybe you were.
Yeah. So I woke up and I'm looking for
live,
this. Yeah, I'm looking for this, and actually, all these media outlets kept taking it offline. WCPO did not, and that's where I first heard the whole outline of that stuff. I loved it. It kind of perked me up, and I was ready for a Reds win.
Did we publish the uncensored version?
We had the bleep.
Oh, it was bleep. You couldn't, because we probably couldn't do just like unplugged, did we?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Couldn't do that.
Yeah.
You do it once. What did you think?
There would be a second coup, and I would be gone.
Yeah, the dude from Indianapolis might come back. What do you think? I thought. I mean, I don't think the players really cared one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm sure the players don't care. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they're like, let's stick it to the media. I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that then they won their next 3 games.
Well, they were playing Milwaukee.
Yeah, that has to do with
I think it has more to do with they were playing
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee, and then they had to do with you got this. The tone was really set by DeSclafani with a great start, but
he's found money, isn't he?
I hope so.
Found money.
I mean, if so, it gives you a little bit of promise of the scouting department.
Right. Was nobody else? Why did he go off? I don't mind managers getting mad, but he was just mad. He kept saying, "Does this help the Reds?" Like any reporter is supposed to care if what he does helps the Reds.
Right.
It was like he was talking to an employee. If he was talking to somebody who worked in the front office, it might make a little bit of sense. But I'm just like, talk about something that would make a player care.
If you don't understand that, if you're a major league manager and you don't understand that your job is to manage the team and our job is to manage the news, I think if you don't have that, you got problems. I think you do. Yeah. I think the guy's got deep-rooted problems as to what the media is, and
boundaries.
It's real easy to make. You know what? It's real easy to make peace with any platform of the media. All you got to do is tell the truth.
Yeah.
You tell the truth, and that's it.
And
you never get in trouble.
And he did tell the truth, and he didn't like that they reported the truth.
Yeah.
Well,
and so then he had a problem. I like emotion, but
well, it's okay. So 2 players were on a jet flying out to, and the reporters on the plane. Well, you don't want your players to be spotted. Get them on a private jet. Where's ultimateair.com or whatever the hell that is.
Or just tell the guy you're sending out, like earlier in the process. I mean, that seems like a pretty easy one to figure out.
But as a fan, I mean, I love that he's getting fired up. And for the longest time, I'm like, who is Bryan Price? Like,
he was pretty
player
vanilla.
Manager, get rid of him kind of thing. But at least it shows as a fan, you look at like, okay, he's got some emotion, like the F-bomb. I like that. I want to hear that. That reminds me of like, Sparky Anderson or somebody just getting pissed off. Like that's a good thing for the fan base. I feel like for media,
What I like is that he gets all bent out of shape because reporters are tweeting stuff about his team. And what medium does he use to apologize? Twitter. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
we have a cartoon, don't we, or something?
I believe we do.
Kevin Necessary, our in-house, maybe not actually in the building, but our WCPO.com. He incorporated one of the mascots, which we're fond of, being the unofficial Fifth Mascot. This is Bryan Price, and
Bryan looks like Lou Piniella in that.
well, in the first one, you can tell he's a little edgy in the first one. That's he's got something going on there. But yeah, Mr. Red doesn't deserve that. That's my belief. Maybe Rosie Red did, but not Mr. Red. I don't know.
Yeah, I just wonder if that wasn't just boiling over after getting swept and playing with 23 guys, which the Reds do. I mean, just consistently, guys get hurt, and they don't replace them on the roster for two reasons. One, they don't want to start major league clocks ticking when they come up. Two, they don't have anybody to bring up. I mean, their minor league system's a joke.
Well, it just makes no sense. I mean, Mesoraco, Sunday will be 2 weeks since he last played, except for the one random pinch hit appearance he had this week, which then set his clock back. If you wanted to actually put him on the DL, you can't go back retroactively. I mean, I think they totally mishandled that situation, and I don't know if it's the training staff, if it's the administration of the team, or if it just turned out to be much more of a nagging problem injury than they thought. But you're talking about a catcher who squats to catch the ball, I don't know how many times per game, and he's got a problem with his hip.
But if you're the Reds and you understand that your minor league system is thin, do you really? I think you really hope that he can get over that, or because Devin Mesoraco on one leg is better than Tucker Barnhart on three legs, and that's the reality of it. These guys that they have either can't play the majors or aren't ready to play the majors, so you kind of hope. But what you do is you go into these games where you can't play with 25 guys. You got 23 guys. Meantime, the other team, which is the standard bearer in the division, they're rolling out 25 guys that any one of them could probably, play for your team.
Start maybe
in some cases.
Well, I mean, Tucker Barnhart's up right now, so what you're really losing out on is one other spot, whether it's another guy off your bench, whether it's another reliever. I mean, could we use another reliever right now who could get someone out? I think so.
Well, I almost think it's like, is it Bryan Price and Walt Jocketty just fighting heads to try to figure out, this roster?
Well,
whatnot,
Bryan Price isn't going to win that battle. He can go ask Dusty Baker about that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, we're going to move on to the Cardinal series. We're going to tease a little bit. We have a reenactment of the Bryan Price tirade.
Does it involve you, Matt?
No, I would like to have been part of it, but it's a reenactment with a little kindler, gentler spin on it. But it's going to be at the end of our show.
Okay.
Some of the Madcap Puppets, which is a local puppeteering group. They participated with it, and it's been on WCPO.com this week, and we're going to highlight it at the end of the show. But moving on, the big bad wolf in the division just beat our butts last week again. I don't know what is that ever going to stop?
Well, I mean, they go to St. Louis, the last 34 times they've won 2 series since 2003.
Yeah,
I mean that's horrid.
And you look at
and you blow another good Cueto start.
You blow another good Cueto start. So if you look at it, the Reds this year are 1-5 against the Cardinals. They're 7-3 against everyone else. I mean, 7-3. We'd all be ecstatic if they were 7-3. If you just remove those Cardinals games, but they are your chief rival in your division. You have to figure out how to beat them at some point in time.
You got to step up. I mean, we talked about last year. Like, is it a mind game? You just can't get past them. But
I mean, Price said as much. Like he said, we don't go into St. Louis anticipating victory.
Well, that's his. That's a lot of it. That's his too. That's his.
Oh, that's way on him. You got to get your guys up. Whatever.
Set a tone. You're the manager. I mean, that's a big part of your job.
That's all on you
to establish what the tone is.
And what he did on Friday night, I don't give a rat's patootie about splits and by the book and sabermetrics. You don't walk John Jay to get to Yachty or Molina in any circumstance ever.
I don't care what Molina's hitting.
Exactly.
He is one of the toughest and most clutch players at every moment of a game.
The
only guy I didn't want to see more is Pujols.
Listen to this absurdity, okay? Jay's hitting 200. The guy behind Molina is hitting 200. Molina was hitting like 280, and his on-base percentage was like 350. So you're going to walk John Jay just because Johnny Cueto, he's 12 of 17 against Cueto, to get to Molina, to juice the stadium. I think you go out, you don't ask Cueto what to do. That's the other thing that drove me crazy.
Right.
You tell Cueto what to do. If you can't tell a guy what to do, you're not the boss.
Yep.
You go out and you say, son, you're my horse, get their horse out. That's all you do. And if he can't, then he can't. But to let John Jay, to put him on base and let Yadier Molina beat you, you never let the best guy beat you, ever.
Well, and also if your concern is Cueto against Jay, bring in a lefty. Bring in a lefty and let him try to get Jay out. And, then the inning's over. And you're in good shape.
And he said afterwards, he said, well, we just thought we'd have a better chance of getting Molina to ground into a double play. He grounded into 14 double plays last year, and I think 680 or 700 plate appearances. Now, I don't know if that's the major league norm or not, but that seems like a very low figure.
Do you just think that Price is just not getting the right information? I mean, how is he not making these matchup calls and with the relievers? I don't get it.
If he's been in the Reds organization for several years, all you got to do is have a pulse, and you know that Yadier Molina is tough, right? I mean, that's not, you don't have to even, I don't know any of the historical stats other than I don't like Yadier Molina and I don't want to give him a chance to beat us. That's all he's tough.
The other thing I can think is just coming into that series, I mean, that was the first game of the series, and Molina had been struggling at the beginning of the season, but he's still Yadier Molina.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
he had been heating up the two games right before that.
And if you walk a guy to get to him, that just increases his determination, which was great under any circumstances.
Foaming at the mouth.
Yeah.
You're not walking a guy. You're not walking a guy to put a guy on first with one out. You're walking the guy with the bases loaded and Yadier Molina coming up.
Yeah.
You talk about a guy that's focused.
Yeah.
I think
you just knew that was going to be a loss right there, and I guess Bryan Price did too.
Yeah,
giving up. I don't know.
Bailey is a disappointment. I'm sorry. I mean, I know that he's coming off an injury and whatnot. I mean, this looks like the Homer Bailey we've seen.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around the way you've been talking for a while, Ken. He's just a guy who can throw the ball hard, and he's got a couple of no hitters, but he's a 500 ball.
That's what he is, and it seems like, Mike, every time he'll go through the order twice, but when they come up the third time, he's got nothing for him. And it's like they figure the dude out. And, I'll say this, I think Homer Bailey is a good 3, maybe a 4 starter, but he's not a top of the rotation guy. He's not a 1 or a 2. And they put their money on this dude, and they let Latos walk, and they're going to let Cueto walk.
Well, I mean, he still threw 5 2/3, 2 runs yesterday. I'll take that. I mean, I think that's a pretty good start. That's a number 2 starter without his best stuff. But I do think that there is a lot of risk anytime you sign any pitcher long term, and I just don't know that Bailey ultimately is going to. Bailey's not going to have the numbers that Cueto's going to have.
Never.
Cueto would have cost a lot more money, but I'll take Bailey over Latos.
Oh yeah, I would too. But my point is they back this guy, and if he's not, I mean, 5 2/3 and 2, that's great, that's fine. With their bullpen, that's problematic. I need a guy that's going to take this game to the 7th inning, and he's going to deliver consistently 2 runs. He gave up 5 earned runs in his loss at St. Louis. I just think he is what he's been, and it's no knock on him. God bless him. He got $106 million out of him. Now the series in Milwaukee was a lot better. I think we can at least say that. Milwaukee is terrible. I think the 3 of us could find, 6 other players and beat them.
I think
at least in the sausage race, you'd do that.
Do you think is it just because Milwaukee's bad, or do you think Bryan Price had anything to do with that?
No.
I agree. But it was just the sequence of events just made people got fired up. There's a little emotion. Okay, big. They won big Monday night, and then that slugfest on Tuesday. But I agree. I mean, I don't think it really had anything to do with anything, except for there are a lot of people who like to see emotion, like Mr. Satin.
Oh yeah.
And I like to see emotion too. I just like to see it pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, how about holding your bullpen guys who continually walk the first batter out of the inning? How about showing some emotion to them and holding them accountable versus going off on a reporter who's just trying to do his job?
I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, if he would have gotten mad and said our middle relief sucks and I'm tired of it, and we need to get somebody in here who can throw the 7th and 8th inning, then I would have been happy, and he would have been exactly right. And those guys who are stinking would have felt, I got to show up, or somebody's going to, they're going to bring somebody up from the minors.
Who's the last guy to do that? They pick on their players.
Think they're going to give somebody, won't give them a press pass.
Ozzie Guillen.
Yeah, I mean, you don't ever see any managers picking on their players, which, I mean, I get it. They want to protect them. But, last year, we talked about that whole sandwich, putting everybody on there and shipping the sandwich out. We're getting to that point again. These middle relievers aren't there.
You know, I talked to a guy today, he writes for Sports Illustrated, and he said it's actually easier now to build a bullpen in baseball than it was 10 years ago, because you've got all of these pitchers that came into the game as starters. No pitcher comes into an organization as a relief pitcher. He said, and you've got all of these starters that former starters that now throw the ball hard, because the ball is being thrown just harder than it has been in Major League Baseball. And so that's why you see teams get 1 or 2 guys or 3 that are like mainstays of their bullpen, but the other 3 to 5 just they kind of change year to year, year to year. And that's why Andrusa can come in and have a good year, and then he flames out. He said, but if you look at the Reds right now, you know, Hoover is, you know, he's a gasoline fire waiting to happen. We all know it's going to come. LeCure, I don't know what happened to him, but he's gone. Kevin Gregg, he couldn't get arrested last winter, and he gets a contract here. And Jumbo Diaz, you know, there's nothing going on there. Whatever he had last year isn't there. So he said the problem with the Reds is that they haven't been able to figure out those 3 to 5 guys that need to change every year or two that other teams do.
Cingrani, man, why not him?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Cingrani has pitched in 3 games this year. I mean, your bullpen is horrible. You got one guy who has gone 3 1/3 innings and given up 1 run in Cingrani, and you've used him 3 times. I mean, what is going on with that?
I think what's going on with that dude is, I think, again, this is Bryan Price trying to be Mr. Baseball, but I think what's going on with him is he's saying, okay, one of our guys is due to spit the bit after 2 1/3, and I'm going to need a guy to go 4, and I can't burn Cingrani up. I guarantee you, he holds the guy back because he thinks he's going to have to get somebody out of that pen to give him 3 or 4 innings, and he doesn't have anybody in there but him.
Yeah, I think that is probably the case, but I mean, that's a strategy. That's a weak strategy.
Historically, it seems to me, the Reds, that's one of the things they've been solid at for a long time is the bullpen, and all of a sudden this year it's gone.
Right.
You know,
well,
I mean,
they were pretty bad.
Yeah, they were last year. They were.
Okay, I know the last couple of years, but I mean, it seems like we had a good bullpen for a long time, even when we didn't have the starting pitching. And you know, you say it was harder to have a bullpen 10 years ago. We had a better bullpen 10 years ago than we got now. So I don't know what.
But it was easier to have one 10 years ago.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, it was harder to have one 10 years ago for everybody.
Okay.
For everybody.
I'm not paying attention.
So that made so that made it an even playing field. Now you actually have to know what you're doing. And unfortunately, they've kind of played. I don't mean to pick on Kevin Gregg, but I honestly don't know why he's here. Sam LeCure, and I don't know what his recent numbers are at AAA, but I don't know what he did in spring.
Did he piss somebody off?
Well, or to cause him to lose all that velocity off his pitch.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. I don't know what happened to him.
Bring him up for leadership. I mean, just have him there.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
He can't do any worse. There's no way.
Exactly.
Kevin Gregg
He's
pitched 7 innings and given up 8 runs. I mean, that's awful.
You can't get a job. You can't get a job anywhere doing that percentage.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's horrible. And you know, there's tons of talent on the pitching side at AAA. Guys who are pitching really well. LeCure has like a 3.68 ERA. That's decent. And then you've got Carlos Contreras. Remember him? He was up with the team last year. He's 1.29 ERA. He's pitched solid. Then you've got the starters. You've got Lorenzen and Axelrod are both pitching really, really well. You've got Iglesias pitching well.
That's the guy.
And this John Mascot guy, who I'd never heard of before this year. I mean, he had a great spring. He's got a 1.54 ERA and 2 starts at AAA.
And you know, you asked the question, what's the difference between the Cardinals and the Reds? If the Cardinals had Iglesias and the Cardinals had Lorenzen, they'd be on their major league roster right now. They wouldn't be marking them down at AAA.
They would either be in the Jason Marquis spot in the rotation, or they would be in the bullpen, one or the other.
Right.
And getting outs too.
Yeah. And maybe they would have bumps and bruises. Maybe they would have games where, we brought him in out of the bullpen and he walked 3 guys.
That's the thing with ego too. Like, the Cardinals don't care. It's next man up. We don't care about your ego.
And also, like, I mean, okay, so if you bring up Lorenzen and he struggles a little bit and you send him back down, that's fine. He's getting his feet wet. At least there's a purpose to it. You bring up Kevin Gregg and you put him in the bullpen and he blows it. What is the purpose? It's not like Kevin Gregg is going to get any better.
Right. Or go anywhere else.
I mean, you're not developing your future with Kevin Gregg. You're not going to get any return on value with this guy.
Well, let's talk about something positive. Zach Cozart appears to have taken over the body of Tony Kubek. He's not only fielding the ball well, he's hitting well. And I had one cynic told me a couple of days ago, all he's doing now is making his average look good at 250 later in the year when he goes on one of those 0 for 67 slumps.
Well, yeah, it's only, I mean, this is a Zach Cozart that we've never seen before for a week or 10 days or whatever. So I don't know what to make of this, because he's never had a week like this or 2 weeks like this in his whole time up in the bigs, as far as I can remember.
I'll tell you this, he is swinging differently, and I heard him say this in the spring, that his misses now are not pop-ups. They're line drives, they're ground balls, which means that he's cut down on the big swooping swing. And it just should he be hitting second in the batting order? No, Joey Votto should be hitting second in the batting order. Should leave him exactly where he is.
That annoyed the effing out of me, to take a word from the manager. Because, I don't even know why it is, but guys just get in comfortable spots in the lineup, and if you mess with it, it often, just upsets the apple cart or whatever. Right. And yesterday, they moved, those two guys who were hitting like wildfire, and they go 1 for 7 collectively when they were, they were each getting 2 hits a game. And why would you do that? If he's hitting so well, put him in the third hole, because nobody's been hitting in the third hole. Move Frazier, move whoever. But no, that was a terrible managerial decision in my opinion.
Didn't he Payne got the day off, and they had Tucker Barnhart. I mean, he had some problems.
They gave Payne the day off.
You got two guys hitting well, Votto and Cozart. Just put Cozart after Votto.
Yeah, but then the lower half of your order goes to hell in a handbag, because
but the lower half that didn't change it. If you just put him in the 2 or the 3, why did you have to move Votto one spot?
Well, I agree. You move someone around, you're trying to fix 2 things then. I mean, you've created another problem.
If you're going to move him, I don't mind leaving him where he was.
Right.
But you put him in the spot where Votto was, the hottest hitter on the team or the most solid hitter on the team, and you move him, why would you ever do that? The Hamilton-Votto thing was doing fabulous. Even as bad as Hamilton's going. He got on base, people got scared, and Votto's just hitting it no matter what happens.
I mean, I think you're talking about one game. I don't think it really matters that much, to be completely honest. But, I think this really comes back to, in my view, the bigger problem is we're playing a guy short because Mesoraco can't play. So if you had that spot, it was Chris Dominguez at the beginning of the year, who's now at AAA. That's the guy who you're plugging in to play third base instead of Chris Negron. Now you've got some pop in your lineup, and you're not having to say, okay, well, we got to move Cozart way up in the batting order because we don't have anyone else who has any punch in the lineup. You're playing Tucker Barnhart and Chris Negron on the same day. That's pretty rough. Yeah, and also, I just don't get the way that Price kind of just dumps everyone. Like it's like a line change in hockey or something like that. Why don't you sub them in a little bit at a time instead of saying, all right, well, we're just going to try to eke this one by? I guess. I mean, Kyle Loesch coming into that game had pitched awful, but I mean, he's still Kyle Loesch. I mean, he's a pretty solid major league pitcher.
I think you got Bruce, and then you got Bird, 8-9. Put the pitcher wherever you want. I mean, really.
Maybe when Marquis and Leake are pitching.
I was glad to see Bird get a home run the other day, but man, that's rough.
Very slow swing.
He looks like Cozart looked last year. A lot of pop-ups, a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah, Cozart is turning on that ball, though. I mean,
even his outs, he's hitting hard. Yeah. I mean,
but Bird is having trouble.
Oh, he's struggling.
He just is really slow bat. Really slow bat.
All right, we're going to take our This Week in Reds history. It was actually, I think, this date in 1978. No, yesterday. What is today, the 24th?
Yeah.
Little Joe had a streak, a major league record still held, of 91 consecutive games without an error at second base. And it was broken on this date in 1978. It was dating back to July 6th, 1977. And it wasn't even a fielding error, it was in a rundown. And he had a throwing error in that, which was sort of surprising. But just looking back, we got the reunion tonight of the '90 series team, and he was. There's so many good players on the Big Red Machine, but he certainly was one of the just staples and pillars.
The thing is, as great as he was defensively, Brandon Phillips is a better defensive second baseman. Better all-around second baseman, Joe Morgan. But a better defensive second baseman, hands down, in the history of this franchise, at least post-1900, there's no question it's Brandon Phillips.
Yeah, I agree with
He's outstanding defensively. And people ask me all the offseason, why are they keeping Phillips? He's old, he doesn't seem happy. And I said, because this team can't score runs, and they got to prevent runs. And that's why he's here.
He's still got it.
And I think that's what you come back to with Cozart. So even if Cozart ends up going back to his norm and going back to like a 240, 250 hitter. He's already matched his home run total from last year, but he still plays incredible defense. I mean, he's one of the best shortstops in the majors. And you look at Cozart and Phillips up the middle. You always say you want to be very, very strong up the middle on defense. Cozart and Phillips and Hamilton up the middle doesn't really get much better than that.
Strong.
We have a professional switcher today, by the way. Rusty Blake is with us. Rusty normally works only the big shows around here.
That's right.
Like the shows at like Good Morning Tri-State at 4:30 a.m. But
I told him to bring in
his today.
I told him to bring in his red and blue. Rusty's a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
He forgot to bring his hat, but he's rooting for the Cubbies tonight.
Is Rusty your real name?
What is your name?
Richard.
What is your mother name?
Why do they call you Rusty?
Well, I used to have a lot redder hair.
Oh, okay. Rusty's one of the. Rusty works sports and of all sorts.
Sports in your shorts, we often call it.
I'd say, yeah. Well, it might be. You know what? If the ratings don't pick up. But
Barnhart.
But Rusty works that show too. So it's good to have you here, Rusty.
Oh, thank you.
Good, big Cubs fan. Let's talk about the standings. National League Central Division. Cardinals at 10-4. Reds are at 8-8. So what are they? 3 games? Yeah, 3 games back. So I mean,
and like Mike was saying, take the 5-1 Cardinals record out. They're 5-3, and the Reds are
7-3.
Yeah.
7.
Wow.
But here's the deal. I think I mentioned this last week. You play 584 baseball in the month of April, you make the playoffs. So they still have a chance to do that with a strong series this weekend against the Cubs. So I'm not discouraged, but I'm not encouraged. I'm discouraged a little bit if I'm in Pittsburgh because they got off to a horrid start. They're playing a little bit better now. I'm really encouraged if I'm in St. Louis, but I'm not discouraged here. But I got to see a little bit more from somebody other not named Votto or Cozart in that everyday 8.
There are a lot of guys having good, playing well. Votto is, I think, playing better than he ever has, even maybe 2010.
Yeah.
And Cueto's still doing what he's doing. DeSclafani is playing well.
We didn't touch on him a lot. I said the dude was found money, but he dominated in that game against.
That's 2 back-to-back great starts, and his first start was pretty good too. I mean, so it'll be really interesting. I think he pitches tomorrow to see what he does against the Cubs. Second time facing the Cubs, can he continue to do what he did in the first 3 starts, or is he going to start to come back and be a little bit more of an average pitcher?
Well, he had. He pitched against Milwaukee. Milwaukee is horrid. And his other start was against.
He started against the Cubs. And he started against the Pirates.
So they've kind of gotten him matched up. I don't know how he would have done against the Cardinals. The real problem is Marquis in that rotation. And I think they're going to probably try and ride him for as many starts, and then when that flames out, I think Iglesias comes up here.
Yeah,
I hope so.
You just have to wonder how many starts they're going to give the guy. I mean, I'm going to the game on Sunday, and I saw that he's pitching, and I'm like, man, I really wish I didn't have tickets to see this game because, I mean, even, you take the game that they won against the Brewers 16-10, that's great. They scored a lot of runs, got a lot of offense. I was more discouraged from that game than I think I have been over any win because Marquis looked awful. The bullpen still struggled. In fact, I went to bed when it was 16-10 and they had like 2 innings left, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to bed because either they're going to hold on and win this and it's great, or they're going to blow it and I really don't want to watch.
I mean, it would not end.
It's just going to be miserable.
Well, if there's trouble in the 6th inning, you got to just cringe because what's going to, who are we going to go to?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem.
Yeah. Chapman.
Yeah.
Give him the ball for 4 innings.
I would. You know what? There was a game, and I can't remember. Oh, it was the Cardinal game. Which one was that? It was the Cardinals game that they lost against St. Louis in
League
the
pitched,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right. And they didn't go to Chapman. I'm saying go to Chapman in the 9th. No.
In the 8th.
In the 8th inning.
Yeah, when they scored the go-ahead run. Right.
Yeah.
Go to Chapman in the 8th inning. And then I don't know what I don't have the batting order in my head at who did what. But that was the critical time of that game. What would have that been like if they went to Chapman in the 8th and then they rolled out whoever the hell they wanted to roll out, Cingrani or Jumbo Diaz or whomever at that point?
I think it was Jumbo, but
I'm a firm believer. If he's your best bullpen pitcher, then you got to get him out there in the most critical time. And this garbage about just saving him to the 9th inning, that is so Tony La Russa, 1988-esque. I think teams got to get by it, and I think managers are afraid to do it. They're afraid to be the first one to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Shut down. I mean, it doesn't matter who you put up there. You put Babe Ruth up there. it doesn't matter. He's going to shut him down. He showed it. This might be. I don't think I've ever seen him look this good.
Did you read Fangraph's story that Jeff Sullivan did on Chapman developing a changeup?
Yeah.
It's a great. He threw his changeup 68 times last year, and one batter made contact, and it was a pop-up.
Wow.
68 times last year. It's amazing.
That's impressive. And
look at that.
The thing that's so tricky about him too is that he'll go stretches where he'll throw 3 or 4 outings without throwing anything but the fastball, and then all of a sudden, boom, he drops an 88-mile-per-hour changeup on you, and it's like, how can you prepare for that?
Yeah.
There's no way to adjust.
I think you go right now. You go like you're saying, you go 2 innings with him. Why not? You go once through the order and done.
Well, I think he's developing that pitch because a couple of reasons. One, I think he realizes that he's not going to be able to throw 100 miles an hour for many more seasons. So you got to have something else going on. And two, you face all these teams inside your division a lot. You got to have something a little bit different. You just can't come out there and throw gas, or they'll catch up to you. Although it was funny, they charted the changeups, and some of those were like up at the batter's head, and some were in the dirt 2 feet outside. So he almost had a little bit of Ryan Doran going there, to scare the guy.
Why not?
Anyway,
so this weekend tonight.
Yes. Tonight.
Triple bobblehead night.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, how about that? Little swag for the
Sweet.
station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can those guys come back and join the bullpen for the weekend
Yes.
series
Yeah.
at least? I mean, they're in town. I mean,
3-day contract.
You know who looks like he can still pitch? Dibble.
I think Dibble looks
stud.
he looks like he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I think he could still pitch.
You think he could still throw it into the green seats like he did?
I
Break
think
some jaws.
I told Dibble this when I saw him on opening day. I said, you know what? If they had these same guns, these radar guns, when you threw, they didn't, I think you would have hit 110 miles an hour. Because as hard as Chapman throws, that dude was just, now you never knew where it was going to go,
right?
But he was just, I mean, that thing just zipped. I'm convinced he threw harder and faster than Chapman did. But I don't have the proof.
That high leg kick, too, man. He just looked like a monster out there.
But yeah, they should be able to, a little home cooking. The Cubs at home, they should be able to handle, obviously, the Brewers. So, they can make your 585 or whatever in April. Should be able to do it.
Why do you think it's a question mark on that Wednesday game?
I don't know.
Because Leak would probably be next up, unless they're saving him for that first road.
I don't know. That's just what the internet says. We're not, we didn't talk to Bryan about it. We're afraid to talk to him right now.
That's pulled directly from MLB.com. So if MLB.com isn't sure, we're not sure.
So a lot of times they just don't project out that far.
Correct.
It's probably League.
Yeah, I would guess. That could be a hell of a game on Saturday, not Sunday.
Yeah.
So I feel sorry for you on Sunday, but Saturday that could be a
Desclafani. He comes right at him. I like him.
I just can't wait to see. Hopefully, Billy Hamilton will actually play with John Lester pitching, and he'll have to throw over to first base.
Yes.
If Billy Hamilton can get on base, that's the hard part.
Right. What's his OBP is like? It's like 26 or 27. It's not good. I know that.
It's actually not. It's like 290. The problem is he's not hitting. Yeah. So he's hitting 210. His OBP is 297. So he's got like 0.8 that he's walking. So if you actually hit 250 like he did last year, then his on-base percentage will be 330, which is pretty good. I mean, we'd take that.
Start leaning into pitches or something.
So
he just crunched those numbers in his head right there.
Get in there.
I crunched them earlier. So,
so anyway, we're going to leave you with a puppet show. Is that right?
Well, it's sort of. If you've ever, I don't know if kids, if you ever took your kids there, or if you even have kids, I don't know.
Who?
You. But
well, I have kids, but I'm always worried about adults with puppets. I just have these visions of children's services getting involved.
Could get strange.
They might not appreciate the comparison, but they're sort of like the Muppets. There's many different sizes and shapes, and they came into this station, and we did sort of a reenactment in a kindler, gentler way, more suitable for the air.
Good.
But let's take a look and see everybody next week.
Eddie Yost.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I don't understand why you fire trucking need to know what's going on all the time.
I was just wondering, as a fan, why Devin Mascot was on the roster but not here.
Why? Why? Look, I don't give two fire trucks what you think. Look. I am trying to win a fire trucking baseball game here, and it's not making my life any easier by you fire trucking reporters trying to reveal everything that's going on. Look, does that fire trucking give us any advantage? No. Does it fire trucking give our team, opposing teams, advantages? Yes. Look, I try to be as honest as I fire trucking can with you two, but all I get is me bending over backwards, watching your fire trucking heads go up my fire trucking equine. Who the fire truck do you think you are?
Sorry.
Did I say you could fire truck and talk? The one with the mustache over there figured out that he shouldn't say anything. What the fire truck is wrong with you? Look, you know how hard it is to panhandle up a rope? Look, I play a fire trucking game. I try to fire truck and win all the fire trucking time. Do you have any other fire trucking questions? Fire trucking good. This interview's over. Where's Marty?